Hi, this isCio Rodriguez, and we will continue in this section with practice questions from 41 to 60 in our course for the CISSP certification, Domain 1, Security and Risk Management. Question 41. Which enterprise architecture framework uses the six communication questions of what, where, when, why, who, and how that intersect with six layers: operational, component, physical, logical, conceptual, and contextual? A. TOGAF, uh, B. DoD-AF, C. MOD-AF, or SAPSA? The correct answer is SAPSA. The Sherwood Applied Business Security Architecture, or SAPSA, is an enterprise security architecture framework that uses the six communication questions of what, where, when, why, who, and how that intersect with the six layers: operational, component, physical, logical, conceptual, and contextual. The Open Group Architecture Framework, or TOGAF, is an enterprise architecture framework that is based on four interrelated domains: technology, applications, data, and business. DoD-AF is an architecture framework that organizes a set of products under four views: operational view, OV, system view, SV, technical standards view, TV, and all view, AV. British Ministry of Defense Architecture Framework, or MODAF, is an architecture framework that divides information into seven viewpoints: a strategic viewpoint, STV; operational viewpoint, OV; service-oriented viewpoint, SOV; systems viewpoint, SV; acquisition viewpoint, ACV; technical viewpoint, TV; and all viewpoint, AV. Question 42. Which framework is a security controls development framework? The correct answer is NIST SP 800-53. The NIST SP 800-53 is a security controls development framework. SACMAN framework is an enterprise architecture framework that uses a two-dimensional classification system based on six communication questions: what, where, when, why, who, and how. In that respect, kind of similar to SAPSA. And that intercept with views such as planner, owner, designer, builder, subcontractor, and actual system. The ISO IEC 27000 gives guidelines on how to develop and maintain an information security management system. ITIL is a process management development standard. Question 43. Which of the following attacks can be mitigated by keeping telephone numbers private and implementing tight access control? A. Man in the middle. B. Mail bombing. C. Ping of death. And D. War dialing. The correct answer here is war dialing. The listed attacks can be mitigated with the following measures. For example, man in the middle, messages are intercepted between two computers. Using digital signatures and mutual authentication can help prevent this type of attack. Mail bombing. Email servers and clients are overwhelmed with unrequested email messages. Email filtering and email relay can help prevent this type of attack. War dialing. Hackers dial a large bank of phone numbers to determine which is connected to a computer. Keeping telephone numbers private and implementing tight access control can help prevent this type of attack. Ping of death, here oversized ICMP packets are sent to the victim computer. To prevent this type of attack, you should stay up to date with system patches and implement ingress filtering. Question 44. Why is it difficult for a country like the US to prosecute state-sponsored computer criminals for some countries? The United States doesn't maintain mutual legal assistance treaty or MLAT with those countries. Computer crimes today are usually made possible by a victim's carelessness. If a computer crime has occurred, providing criminal intent and causation is often difficult. The ability to investigate and prosecute computer crimes is complicated by jurisdiction. Many state-sponsored hackers reside in countries where the United States does not maintain a mutual legal assistance treaty. And in an MLAT between two countries allows those countries to cooperate on law enforcement investigation, which may lead to the extradition of a criminal suspect. Now, this would greatly help, but this is a very complex topic, and I don't see that being resolved anytime soon. Question 45. Which type of engineering is considered unethical? Inverse, compound, reverse, source. Reverse engineering done in the hopes of understanding the intricate details of software functionality is considered unethical. Of course, unless uh, the the ethical hacker or the hacker has uh, formal consent and approval from the owner of the software in order to do this. I mean, there are cases in which reverse engineering is not unethical. It is unethical, obviously, if you're trying to understand how the software works to try to exploit that software. Question 46. Which of the following procedure is an example of a technical control? The correct answer is database management system. So of this control listed over here, a backup control is an operational control. Database management system is a technical control. Identification and authentication of employees is a security administration control. Software testing is an operational control, and antivirus management is an operational control as well. Question 47. Which of the following is the process of creating user accounts and credentials? A. Onboarding. B. Orientation. C. Provisioning. Or D. Assigning. User provisioning is the process of creating user accounts and credentials, assigning access rights and permissions, and providing assets. Question 48. Which background check is the most important when hiring someone who will work in a financial institution? A. Credit history. B. Driving record. C. Immigration status. Or D. Education verification. And of course, credit history. So this should be an easy one. Question 49. What is the legal term used to describe an organization taking all reasonable measures to prevent security breaches and also taking steps to mitigate damages caused by successful breaches? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Default stance. Or D. Qualitative risk analysis. The correct answer is due care. Due care is a legal term that is used when an organization took all reasonable measures to prevent security breaches and also took steps to mitigate damages caused by successful breaches. Due diligence is a legal term that is used when an organization investigated all vulnerabilities. The default stance is the default security posture used by the organization. An allow by default stance permits access to any data unless a need exists to restrict access. A deny by default stance is much stricter because it denies any access that is not explicitly permitted. Qualitative risk analysis is a method of analyzing risk whereby intuition, experience, and best practice techniques are used to determine risk. Question 50. Why is it important to perform a risk assessment on a third party that will be remotely accessing internal resources? The correct answer is B, to determine third party compliance with organizational security policies and standards. It is important to perform a risk assessment on a third party to determine third party compliance with organizational security policies and standards. Question 51. Destroying the integrity of computer-based information is considered unethical by which organization? The correct answer is C, IAB. The Internet Architecture Board, or IAB, considers destroying the integrity of computer-based information unethical. Question 52. Which of the following is not specified as unethical behavior by the IAB? Writing computer viruses. It is not addressed by the IAB. Question 53. Which of the following is a knowledge factor for authentication? The correct answer is password. This should be a relatively very easy question. A password is a knowledge factor for authentication. Biometrics is a characteristic factor for authentication. Smart cards and tokens are ownership factors for authentication. Question 54. A user resigns from your company. His manager requests that you delete his user account. However, the manager requests that you ensure that all the user's files will be accessible. What should you do? The correct answer should be to disable the user account. You should disable the user account. There is a possibility that the user account will need to be used at a later date to access some of the user's data. If the user account is deleted, other users in the organization may be unable to access the data. The best practice is to disable the user account. Now, obviously, it depends on the company policy. But the given choices over here, choice A is the most acceptable answer. It is also important to talk about the fact that uh, almost everything today is in an email. So if you delete that account, the email, unless something is put in place, is also deleted. Again, companies have policies regarding these things. Some companies delete accounts maybe after 30 days, over after 60 or 90 days. There are some companies that never delete the account, that they just disable the account. And a lot of these things have to do for compliance reasons in the law. It depends on the company, depends on the industry that you work for, but it is almost never a good idea to delete an account as soon as a user resigns or leave the company. It's better to just disable the account, get whatever you need if you do, and then you can deal with the deletion of the account at a later time. Question 55. You work for a healthcare organization that must comply with the ISO IEC standards. Which specific ISO IEC 27,000 standard series or 27,000 series standard should you reference for your industry? You should reference uh, ISO IEC 27799 because it addresses health organization guidelines. The ISO IEC 27011 addresses telecommunications organization guidelines. The 27015 addresses financial organizations guidelines, and the 27037 addresses digital evidence guidelines. Not that you need to know all this or memorize for the exam, but at least the 27,709 is probably one of those, or maybe not. I mean, none of these are very common that you would need to know, but you never know what to expect in an exam like the CISSP. Question 56. When a new employee is offered a job, background checks, credit checks are conducted by an organization. The process is best known as what? The correct answer here is due diligence. Due diligence is the act of investigations and assessment. Organization must institute the appropriate procedures to determine any risks to organizational assets. Due diligence then provides the information necessary to ensure that the organization practices due care. Without adequate due diligence, due care cannot occur. Due diligence is a process that includes but is not limited to employee background checks, business partner credit checks, system security assessments, risk assessments, penetration tests, and disaster recovery planning and testing. The NIST SP 853 Rev 5 discussed early in some of the questions that we talked about. I think we've seen it. The Security Control Framework section provides guidance for implementing security controls that will help with due diligence. But the point is here is that it is important to understand the concepts or the difference between due diligence and due care, because it is true, 100% true that you're going to get one or several questions regarding this terms that are due diligence and due care are very similar, but they're similar, but they're different. So you have to understand the difference between them two in order to answer those questions correctly. Question 56. Which group of users poses the greatest threat to an organization's security? This can be a tricky question. A lot of people think that it is the hackers, but to be honest with you, from the NIST point of view, internal users pose the greatest threat to an organization's security. Um, because first of all, uh, most of the time when a data breach occurs, it's because an internal user did something, either made a mistake, click on something, and also there are a lot of malicious internal employees that sometimes in combination with, for money and revenge and stuff like that, coordinate with external people or make it easier for the company to be hacked. So just be aware of this kind of question, but just it is important to know that per industry standard, internal users poses the greatest threat to an organization's security, not the hackers. Question 58. What are the detailed instructions used to accomplish a task or a goal? The correct answer is procedures. Procedures are the detailed instructions used to accomplish a task or goal. Standards are the mandated rules that govern the acceptable level of security. Guidelines are the actions that are suggested when standards are not applicable in a particular situation, and baselines define the minimal level of security or performance. Question 59. What is Tempest? Tempest is a United States government program that reduces electronic equipment emanations. The Patriot Act is a United States law established in 2001 to reduce restriction on the searches of telephone, email communications, medical, financial, and other records. Information warfare is a type of attack that involves attempting to exploit or corrupt an enemy's information to gain military or economic advantage. The Federal Computer Incident Response Center, Fed CIRC, is the U.S. government entity responsible for dealing with federal computer security incidents that occur in civilian agencies. And last on this section is question 60. Which of the following is the point in time to which the disrupted resource or function must be returned? And the correct answer here is RPO. Okay, the RPO is again the recovery point objective is the point in time in which the disrupted resource or function must be returned. So it's important to understand the difference between, especially because absolutely sure you're gonna get, I would say, uh, between these two, right? The RTO and the RPO can be confusing. One is the recovery time objective. The other one is the recovery point objective. Okay. Absolutely, you're gonna get a question about those. We have already seen these terms, especially pay attention to the I would say the MTTR. It's a very important one, and this one as well. But uh, this key concepts, this list of terms over here are very important, and you can be absolutely sure that you're going to get one or several questions regarding these key concepts. Okay, so thanks for watching. We have come to the conclusion of another video in this series of videos for in preparation for the CISSP certification exam. We just covered questions 40 to 41 to 60. In the next section, we will go over questions 61 to 80. Please don't forget to click like on my YouTube channel to motivate me to continue producing this training free videos. Thanks, and I hope to see you in the next section.